What if a prayer is not a plea, a desperate call with tears that fall on bended knee, but breathing out and breathing in, it's God in me that lives and breathes, my trusted friend. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying. What if today I had the chance to move and sway? God leads the way in my life's dance. What if I knew without a doubt, no need to fear, God's right here within, without. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My life is a
Wow, what a way to begin a new year, a new day. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Reverend Michelle Hubbard, and I would like to invite you to think that my year is a prayer that God is praying. I'm very happy to be celebrating New Year with you that are here in person and everyone joining us online. I know it might have taken some effort to get out of bed and come to church on a New Year's Day after celebrating a New Year's Eve. So thank you for doing that. I'd like to give a special thank you to Michael Avery for stepping in for me last week so I could reclaim my voice and get some sniffles out of the way. Thank you very much. Beautiful job was done. It was a lovely service. I was enjoying watching it. So January 1st is a kind of an odd day. We're stepping into new, and yet it doesn't feel all that far away from what was old. And so we're looking ahead to something new, but in a lot of ways it seems kind of familiar too. T.S. Eliot has a lovely way of saying it. For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice. And to make an end is to make a beginning. And so let's take that into our thoughts as we stand in a familiar way to sing our congregational song of There Is Only Love. Yeah, why not? Yeah, thank you for being the presence of love that can only be revealed in the way that you as you are reveal it. Thank you for joining us today, those of you who are here online, those of you here in person. And I welcome all of you on behalf of Unity of Santa Barbara. We have a affirmation that we say here, and we have a slide for this, do we? Yeah. I'd like to invite everyone and include your voice in the room, those of you who are joining us online. Say it with us. This is our Unity of Santa Barbara affirmation. Together, Unity of Santa Barbara is a spiritual community center which touches hearts, awakens souls, and builds dreams. So we have people that are joining us from all over. I've had the honor of praying with people that have been coming from other states and even from Canada. So in this last week, we've had viewers from California, Washington, Nevada, Vermont, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Hawaii, Aloha Kakahiaka, Georgia, Arizona, Texas, Indiana, Idaho, Florida, and from the country of Nigeria. So we are truly making a global impact right here from Santa Barbara, and we thank all of you for joining us. I'd like to invite anyone who is a visitor for the very first time to be big and brave and stand up so we can have you get our special attention. And it looks like we're all familiar with each other, and isn't that a cozy feeling? But in case you're wondering, we have a guest minister today, and that is T.J. Woodward, and he'll be sharing a brilliant message and workshop on conscious creation later on. So we don't have any newcomers. Was there anyone who's kind of changed their mind and decided, yeah, they'd like to reveal themselves as, okay, go ahead, give me some attention? No? Okay. Well, then I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and let you know that there's a prayer box in the breezeway. Feel free to give your prayer request and put it in the box. We have prayer chaplains available today. Bibi is our prayer chaplain for today, and as always, doing a brilliant job. And we have the Shirley Campbell Chapel, which is open for prayer as well. We're now going to be going into our meditative song, which Russ Chafin's going to lead for us.
Please sing along with us. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. Joy, we let the joy wash over us. We let it be. Peace, we let the peace wash over us. We let it be. One more time, love. We let the love wash over us. We let it be.
Thank you, Russ. As we go into a moment to get in that connection of oneness with this presence that we believe in, that we talk about, that we celebrate here at Unity of Santa Barbara, I want to invite you to close your eyes and let any distractions try their best, but simply go on their way. Just focus your attention on an empty space, a space where creativity can happen. As we begin a new year, sometimes that dreaded R word comes up, resolutions. And maybe we replace it with an even more dreaded G word, goals. But I want to invite you in this space where God lives and welcomes you to instead focus on that calling in you. Maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a vision, but to focus on what it is that's saying, only you can birth me, only you can bring me alive, and this is the year to do it. To help you focus on this calling, I'm going to read you a little poem. There is a song in you that is waiting to be sung. There is a battle in you that is waiting to be won. There is a message in you that is waiting to be shared. There is a story in you that is waiting to be written. There is a wish in you that is waiting to be fulfilled. There is a passion in you that is waiting to be expressed. There is a dream in you that is waiting to be pursued. There is a path in you that is waiting to be followed. There is a mountain in you that is waiting to be climbed. There is a love in you that is waiting to be fully felt and shared. There is a warrior in you that is waiting to fight. There is an artist in you that is waiting to create. And there is a caged bird in you that is waiting for permission to fly. And I hope that you will choose to set it free and allow it to roar. Those words are by mystic poet Talia Hunter. And I want you to just take one moment to listen to what's calling you, waiting, wanting to be created in this next year. And very slowly, gently, as feels comfortable, I invite you to open your eyes and return to this time and space. We're very blessed today to have as our guest minister T.J. Woodward. T.J. Woodward is a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and revolutionary recovery expert who has helped countless people through his simple yet powerful teachings. He is a much sought-after TV and radio guest who has been interviewed on hundreds of spirituality and recovery-themed TV shows, radio shows, and podcasts. TJ is a featured thought leader on wholehearted.org along. That may be a typo there. Sorry, TJ. He is the author of the best-selling books Conscious Being, Awakening to Your True Nature, Conscious Recovery, A Fresh Perspective on Addiction, and Conscious Creation, 5 Steps to Embracing the Life of Your Dreams. TJ was given the honor of being ordained as an agape minister by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he is the founding minister of Agape Bay Area in Oakland, the first satellite community of the Agape International Spiritual Center in LA. TJ graduated from the Unity Institute of Spiritual Development Program and the Leadership Development Program. And he's going to be speaking to us today on conscious creation. TJ Woodward.
Thank you. Oh. Good morning, everyone. And happy new moment. Right? Happy new moment because many of us, first of all, we have collectively decided that there's something magic about December 31st and January 1st, right? And we collectively come together and say, what are we going to create? Maybe the R word, resolutions, or the G word. There's many G words, but goals, right? And maybe you're even feeling pressure about what you want to create in your life. And in New Thought, Ancient Wisdom teachings, we know that every single moment is a moment where we're creating. And we're either creating unconsciously or we're creating consciously. And that's what we're exploring today, what it actually means to consciously create the life of your dreams. I walked into Unity in 1988, and I walked in as a person who felt very broken and damaged, who believed there was something fundamentally wrong with me and the world. And when I walked in, I felt an energy, a presence that I hadn't ever experienced before, and it shifted me instantly. It shifted me into a different possibility for my life and a different possibility for who and what I am in the world. And I would love to tell you that at that moment, I had a profound shift. I awakened to my true nature, and I've never had a problem ever since. But I will guarantee you that that has not been my journey. And so in 1988, when I walked into a Unity, I was 2 years in recovery. And the reason I talk about that is in 1986, I got sober, which was the beginning of my journey because I had spent many, many years in a very desperate outer search for love and connection. I came into this world as a very, very happy child. As a matter of fact, my mom often says I was one of the happiest toddlers that she's ever experienced. What I remember is a profound experience of love and connection. Lying in my backyard on a summer day, mesmerized by life, feeling like the luckiest person alive. My mom also said by the time I was 4 years old, she realized I was probably going to grow up to be gay. And I will show you my 3-year picture, and I'll say, Mom, what took you so long? And the reason that is part of this conversation is I grew up in the 1970s in a place as strange as Indiana. And I will assure you that not everyone was ready for my effervescent little, beautiful, very, very exuberant little boy, who in many ways felt more like a girl, who in many ways didn't understand when I heard men speaking in derogatory ways about women, when I heard my grandfather, who I loved dearly, say things that were overtly racist, when I watched the news and saw war and violence, and it felt like it was breaking my heart. I also grew up in a family where what people were saying, what people were doing, and the energy I was experiencing were 3 completely different and incongruent things. The reason I share all of this is because at the age 7, when I was 7 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I had a profound experience of closing my heart. And it was as if someone or something outside of myself came in and put a wall around this heart to protect it. And it actually worked. It did protect me. But it protected me from the very thing that I sought most, which is love and connection. And so you see, I came in with an innate knowing that I was an infinite spiritual being and that love was the truth of who and what we are. I had that as an innate knowing, and I can remember that experience. And then that 7-year-old, that wall. And because that happened, now I know for me, but then I would have said to me, I decided a few fundamental things about myself. I am not lovable. I am not worthy. I'm not good enough. And the world is not safe. Do you feel the energy of those words? Wow. My nephew, when he was 7, I looked at him and I thought, wow, that is the moment, that is the age that I decided at a very deep level that there was something fundamentally wrong with me. And so from that moment until my teenage years, I walked around feeling damaged and broken, not good enough, separate from. And that became an outer search for that love and connection. Like I had my umbilical cord in my hand, trying to plug into someone, something, some substance, some behavior. You name it, I have tried it to feel relief from this core false belief, or these core false beliefs I was carrying around about myself. And so by the time I walked into Unity, and the way I found Unity was the daily word. And I would read the daily word and thought, oh, this is so amazing. I had no idea there was a community connected to it for a year, which I find interesting. But when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And as I like to say, when the student is really ready, the teacher disappears. But we'll get into that. The first thing I heard when I walked into Unity was thoughts create reality. And so I set out on a course of trying to change my thinking through affirmations and through spiritual practice. I'm going to fast forward to a few years ago when Conscious Creation was born. And I want to tell you that I promised myself, I will never be that person that creates the 3 steps to personal freedom, 5 steps to your best life. And so guess what, everyone? Conscious Creation, 5 steps to embracing the life of your dreams, came out of me because after many, many years in New Thought teachings, and in many, many years of going through the process that is becoming a minister, which is fascinating in itself, and I could go for an hour just on that alone, but we're not going to go there today, maybe another time. What I want to say is, yes, thoughts create reality. The issue, though, is how on earth do we change those thoughts? And so these 5 steps emerged from me, and an acronym came through, which is MOVIE, creating a new movie for your life. MOVIE. What I discovered in my own journey and in many years of working with people is that yes, thoughts create reality, but the issue for many of us, and this is what's so profound about January 1st, is that we think we need to think our way into creating a new life. And so one time, and I know we've all been here, I was in a workshop and we were making vision boards. We've all done them, right? Maybe you've done one in the last 24 hours. But it occurred to me that everything I was putting on the vision board was actually from my own perspective about what I wanted to create, instead of something much deeper, which is who am I really? And what might happen if I were to release the idea that I need to change my thinking to change my reality and recognize there's only really one surrender. And that surrender is to surrender to a recognition that we are infinite beings, that we are source energy itself, that we are not separate from that. And so I had this moment, and I'll be real with y'all, okay? I lived in Texas for a while, so I'll say y'all. I had a revelation at that moment that there nothing needed to go on the vision board because that's not what it's about. It's actually not about manifesting. But I'm going to share with y'all what really happened. I chickened out. I was going to take a blank vision board and I was going to walk to the front of the class and I was going to hold it up and say, my vision is to be an infinite being, and an infinite being can't possibly have a detail about what needs to be manifested. But I looked around and everyone was putting like the hot partner and the great house and the nice car and all the things, and I thought, well, I better do that, right? Because this idea is a little outrageous that I don't need to manifest anything. Movie, M-O-V-I-E. What I discovered in my many years of what we call a spiritual path, I can't really create a new life or really embrace the life of my dreams if I'm still carrying around the core false beliefs, the stories, the ideas I have about myself and the world. And the analogy I like to use is imagine that you're painting and you find a canvas that has a painting on it and you just try to paint over it. And then you try to paint over that. And then you try to paint over that. And that old painting seeps through. That could be called our past. Right? And we know the only past that actually exists is the past in my mind. So the stories that I have been carrying around about myself and the world will create reality no matter how much work I do in changing my thinking. Is everyone with me on this? How many of you have tried to do the affirmations and change your thinking? Right? And then a couple of things happen in my experience. One, this is what happened for me. I did that vision board that day. I put everything on there I was supposed to, and I manifested it all. Every single thing. And I was gifted with an experience of this. Is that all there is? I just got everything that I ever thought I wanted. And on some level, I believed if I would get all of that, then I would have peace. Then I would be happy. Then I would be free. And at that moment, I realized that the deeper work here, and this is the M in the 5-step process that I promised I'd never create, is making peace with the past. When I first started this, I called it forgiveness. Now, one thing, FUVI is not a great acronym, so let's start with that. But forgiveness is such a loaded word, right? Because forgiveness in so many ways is deeply entrenched in the idea of good and bad and right and wrong. You have harmed me, and I'm going to find a place within me to forgive you. I am going to rise above. I'm going to raise my vibration. And even though you have done something so horrible, I will forgive you. And the flip side of that is I have done something so horrible, and I beg of you to please forgive me. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me for the ways I have hurt you? And what I discovered is something so profoundly simple and yet life-changing. And that is when I shift my awareness from forgiveness to making peace with the past, I move beyond the construct or the idea of good and bad and right and wrong and realize that the way I make peace with the past is shift in consciousness. What does that mean? A shift in consciousness means I move beyond the story of good and bad and right and wrong and realize something profoundly true. And I'll say in my own life, I have caused a lot of harm in the world, and I'll tell you exactly how. I'm not going to give you all the details. It's not that exciting. We've all done things, right? 100% of the time I realized what was happening was I forgot the truth of who and what I am. I forgot I was an infinite being and that I was an expression of source energy, and I believed I was broken. And so we hear this, hurt people hurt people. The great news is healed people heal people. And so the shift in consciousness isn't you have done something so horrible, but I'm going to find a way to forgive you. It's let me shift my consciousness to a different awareness and the possibility that absolutely everything that happened in my life was perfect to bring me to this moment. And what I'm not saying is everything happens for a reason. Can I be a little controversial here? I don't think everything happens for a reason. Not in the way our mind might believe it. Oh, I lost that job, there must be a reason. No, actually, we create the meaning from the experience. Something happens, we decide what it means, and therefore it becomes our reality. And so the idea that cancer comes wrapped up with a little pretty box and a bow might want to be looked at. What if it was, okay, this is happening in my body, this is happening in my relationship, this is happening in my work, and I have a decision, and the decision is, how am I going to frame that? And at what level of consciousness am I going to approach this from? Am I going to see myself as a victim? Am I going to realize I can rise above that and change my point of view about it? And then there's this other level of consciousness where I realize that it's never about what's happening, it's always about how I'm perceiving it. And when I'm perceiving it from my essential nature, the truth of who and what I am, everything changes instantly. And so it can take a lifetime, and it can happen in an instant. I did a retreat once, and we had a backpack full of really heavy rocks, and the invitation was really simple. You had to put on the backpack, and you had to stand up in front of the room and tell the stories of your painful past. And then you were asked at the end of it, do you want to let go of the backpack, or do you want to keep wearing it? The choice is yours. And we had this really interesting variety of experiences. One person took it and the loudest thump I've heard. She said, I am done. It's not that it didn't happen. That's where our mind is the trickster. Well, if I make peace with that, am I saying it didn't happen? No, what we're saying is, are you ready? Are you ready to take that backpack full of rocks, this heavy story you've been carrying around about yourself in the world, and release it? Someone else said, I like this. I'm not ready to let it go. And what happened in the room was interesting. A couple people started crying when they heard the person say that. Because how sad was it for these people that were hearing someone say, this horrific thing has happened, but I'm comfortable with this backpack full of heavy rocks. I still want to carry this around. I still want to carry this idea about myself in the world. Which brings me to the second step. Overcoming core false beliefs. If you plant a maple seed, what are you going to get? Would it be unrealistic to plant a maple seed and hope for an elm tree? So very, very simple. The seed is a representation of the unconscious beliefs, and we call it confirmation bias now. I see what I expect to see. So I want to share with you, I had two interesting core false beliefs. One, I'm unlovable, and two, everyone likes me. Genuinely, those were my core false beliefs. And so the idea with core false beliefs is really simple. It's a frequency, right? Because we actually don't create our reality based on thinking alone. We create reality based on a frequency. And so if I'm vibrating with I'm not lovable and I walk into a room, who am I going to choose? No matter how hard I try, I'm going to choose someone to confirm the core false belief. And so I'd walk into a room and say, none of you are going to love me, but all of you are going to like me. I had some interesting relationships. We'll just leave that there for now, but I assure you, I had interesting relationships based on those two core false beliefs. So we often hear about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction tells us that we attract what we think, right? What we expect to see. And at some point, I realized that it's not really about what we're attracting or manifesting. It's really about what we're radiating into the world. And so as I shifted the language from the law of attraction to the law of radiance, my life had a profound shift instantly because I recognized that I had a choice in making peace and overcoming the core false beliefs and returning, not raising my vibration, but returning to the original vibration. If it's true that we came in as an infinite being, one with source, then we don't need to raise our vibration at all. And we don't even need to become enlightened. Because enlightened is who you are. I had a client once say to me, do you really walk around the world feeling love, feeling connection, feeling this vibration of peace, and only seeing the pure essence of every human being? And I said, actually, yes, I do. but I often forget. I often forget that's the truth. And I start to believe relative reality is ultimate reality, and ultimate reality is relative reality. Another way to say that is I started at one point to believe that what I could see, touch, taste, what are all those five senses? Those five senses, that was reality. And in unity teachings, we say ultimate reality, God essence, source energy, oneness. Peace is who you are. Love is who you are. You don't need to attain that. So as we make peace with the past and overcome the core false beliefs, we can come to a place where we experience our true nature. And really, it's re-experience our true nature moment to moment. And then we come to the V in the five-step process, which is visioning. And I want to share briefly the difference between visioning and visualization. So our friend Michael Beckwith has a process called Life Visioning. It's a book, and it's profoundly simple, and it's incredibly mood-altering. I say mood-altering, it's like everything I ever sought in drugs and alcohol when I was in my teenage years was really a search for this awareness, this truth. So visualization is we create what we want, we come to terms with or create thoughts about what we want to create, and we hold that vision. We hold that, we visualize that to be true, and then we manifest it, right? Great practice, and as a matter of fact, a really fun era of my life. I call it magical thinking. That's the magical thinking phase. I'm going to change my thinking, I'm going to change my reality, and I'm going to attract the perfect partners, the perfect house, the perfect car, and then I'll be at peace, like I said before. Visioning is something profoundly different. Visioning is, I will release any ideas about what I believe I need to manifest. I will, to the best of my ability, say thank you for sharing thoughts about what you think I need in order to be happy, and I'm going to tap into and rest in the ultimate reality. In other words, I'm going to create space to tap into my inner knowing, my inner wisdom. We could call it intuition. To the best of our ability, we release any preconceived ideas about what I think my life needs to look like, and I become receptive to the messages from within that are always so much more powerful than anything my mind could create. And as we dedicate time in the silence to listening, instead of trying to figure out what I want to do and who I want to be. You know, when we're little kids, what do we say to little kids? Oh, hi, 6-year-old. Who are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to do? We say, what are you going to be when you grow up? But we're really saying, what are you going to do when you grow up? And if you were a kid like me, you're like, what a weird question. Like, I don't know. I'm just here. My nephew, one time, I called him his first week of kindergarten, and I called him and I said, Orion, how is school going? Silly uncle, I'm not at school. I'm talking to you. Wisdom. Wisdom. That's the truth. So visioning isn't about what we want to create. Visioning is about tapping into inner wisdom and listening to what might start as a subtle inner message, but at some point in our evolution, we recognize that that can be the dominant factor that creates life. And when I vision and when I let go to the best of my ability of any preconceived idea about what I want or need, something profound happens because it's always greater, as I said, but it also always serves people other than just me. That was the profound shift for me. One of the questions in Michael Beckwith's visioning process is, what are your unique skills and talents that will help you fulfill the vision? So I get to use whatever my personality is. Ego gets a bad rap, especially in spiritual circles. Oh, get rid of the ego, right? Dr. Sue Morter said only ego would want ego to die. And so the ego is the personality, and we each have our own unique skills and talents. And as we tap into a deeper vision for our life, then we get to use the personality to deliver that. This is my analogy. Okay, we all know Tony Robbins, right? I don't know if we know him, but we know who he is. We all know Mother Teresa, or who she is. Can you imagine asking them to be each other? Can you picture Mother Teresa right now up on the stage? Dum, boom. You know how Tony Robbins, right? She's up there, We each have our own unique way of delivering spirit into the world. And then comes the I in the 5-step process, intention setting. And that's where many of us try to start. I'm going to set my intentions in the new year, and then I'm going to manifest it. But if we haven't made peace with the past and overcome core false beliefs, if we haven't dedicated time in the silence to listen to something so much more profound than the ideas I have in my head, then we set intentions, and then we the last step, is embodying the vision. We become the frequency of that which we know to be true, not we become the vibration of what we want to manifest. Because that's what many of us have been taught, right? I'm going to know it, I'm going to own it, I'm going to be the frequency of the most. And that does work to an extent, but what I'm talking about is embodying the ultimate reality. And so what I want to say in closing is, as we embody this deeper vision that we've received from our intuition, from our essence, from our true nature, we do radiate that out into the world. And the most profound paradox then happens, or it happened for me, and I see it happen in countless other people. The greatest paradox is, once I let go of the idea that I need to manifest something in order to be happy and realize who I am as an infinite being, I'm here to radiate that into the world, suddenly everything I ever thought I needed to manifest to make me happy does manifest. But maybe not in the way I thought it would, in a much greater way. And so in closing, what I want to offer is something very simple to each of you. The knowing of who and what you are. You are an infinite being. You are source energy. You are love itself. And that's really the simplicity of this life. What is required in this moment for you to remember that, and to know that, and to be that in the world? To be the frequency of love. I know that life is a great experiment. And so the invitation for each of you is to go out into the world now and experiment with being the frequency of love. The world doesn't need to change. Lao Tzu gave us the most profound teaching over 2,500 years ago. Anyone know how long ago? Sounds good. Thank you. The greatest gift I can offer the world is that of my own transformation. The greatest gift each of us can offer the world in 2023 is knowing deeply who and what we are, and simply being that in the world, and watch what happens. Peace and blessings, everyone. So grateful. So grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, how is that for a powerful New Year's Day message? Thank you so much, TJ. I know I really needed to hear that, and a lot to think about, a lot to explore, a lot to experiment with and have fun with, actually, I think. So this is what we do here at Unity of Santa Barbara. We kind of strip away what isn't true and get rid of all those layers that are getting in our way, and we find the truth. We find our way, and we are so grateful for that happening here. And so now is the time we can celebrate what happens here at Unity of Santa Barbara. I want you to take just a minute and think about some of the ways that Unity of Santa Barbara has blessed you, and ways that Unity of Santa Barbara may bless each one of us in the future. And go into your heart, touch in there, and find that place of generosity. And we're at the moment where we want to give back. We are wanting this ministry to move forward and grow, and it is growing. We actually weren't sure how many people would show up today, and I'm kind of astounded how many of you are in the seats. And we don't know yet how many people are online, but on behalf of the Board of Trustees, on behalf of the ministers and the staff here, we just want to let you know how much we appreciate all of you and send our love to you on this New Year's Day. So there are many ways to give. If you are online, find the donate button. The ushers are here and are going to stand in just a moment and move through the someone's pointing at the slide, and so we can go to unityofsantabarbara.org. Follow the prompts. There you go. Follow the prompts, and you will find your way. You can also come out if you want to make a donation by credit card. Come on out to the table, and we can do that too. So for all of these ways of giving, we give thanks, and we are going to bless our gifts with these words together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I share.
Give
Boy, what a way to welcome in a new year, huh? So, following service today, we're going to have a workshop by TJ on conscious creation. And would you be willing to come up and say a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. I don't know if I need this microphone. I'll use this one. Hi. We're going to be really exploring what I talked about today in an experiential way. That's very simply said. We're going to go through the 5-step process, making peace with the past, overcoming core false beliefs, and the rest. So if you want to come have an experience, I invite you to join us. 12:30 to 4? 12:30 to 4 in this room. See you in the circle. Love you all.
And if you're thinking of attending, there will be a luncheon served in the chapel after service, and that costs $10. The workshop is $20. Now, on Wednesday of this week, we have an event with Jim Patterson, and he's going to be talking about his relationship with God. Jim, could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Okay. Happy New Year. So on Wednesday, I'm going to talk briefly. This is a personal story. Haven't put a formal title on it, but I'm going to call it my 70-year search for a relationship with Spirit or God. And in this 45-minute talk, my plan is to discuss the different ways I have formed a relationship, predominantly through my work, health, childhood, education, marriage, dreams, and the times of my greatest need. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Jim. That's Wednesday at 7, and if you have any questions, please feel free to go up to Jim after service. He'd be happy to have a conversation with you about it. On Thursday, the Metaphysical Spiritual Experience resumes on Thursday, 10 to noon, and we're going to be exploring the power of presence. Now, next Sunday is a big Sunday for us. It's our famous Burning Bowl service. And so plan on coming early because parking is going to be a little bit tight. And then on January 15th, we have an amazing healer, Rob Wergen, and he's going to be here for a workshop. Now, I want to let you know that we have these different types of flyers and postcards at the back in the breezeway. Please feel free to pick one up, find out all of the wonderful things that are going on here, and mark your calendars accordingly. So if you needed any proof that amazing things are happening here, wow, that was it. So I want to invite you all to stand up now, and we're going to sing our peace song. And together, all of you online, join us as well in saying the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Happy New Year, everyone.